Well, hey there, darling. You come right on in here. Pour yourself a cup of tea and pull up that old stool. Granny's got a new story for you tonight. It's about Sedona, Arizona, where the line between the natural and the supernatural gets a little blurry. It's a land of red rock spires, swirling energy, and as I found out, things you can't always explain. It was late May of 2012. My travel companion Ray and I had planned a trip to see the Grand Canyon. We left from South Florida through Houston and Phoenix and then hopped on one of those tiny commuter planes to Flagstaff. You know the kind, the one that makes you feel every gust of wind and every bump in the air. Once in Flagstaff, we picked up a rental car, had dinner, and turned in early. We wanted to get to the Grand Canyon first thing in the morning. And when we did, it was everything people say it is: massive, humbling, alive, a place that makes you feel both tiny and infinite at the same time. We spent a full day just exploring and taking in the view. The next morning, we headed east toward the petrified forest and the painted desert, landscapes that look like they belong on another planet. By our third day, we were ready for something different, so we drove south to Sedona, that little town nestled among towering red rocks that seemed to glow from within. We found a sweet little inn off State Road 89A, just minutes from downtown. It was quiet, peaceful, the kind of place where the stars feel close enough to touch. The next morning after breakfast, we drove up to a place I'd heard about: Amitabha, Stupa, and Peace Park. Even though it's right there in Sedona, when you walk into that space, it feels like you've stepped into Asia. The air changes. The prayer flags whisper in the breeze. The stupas rise against the red cliffs like ancient guardians of peace. Since it was off season, we had the place all to ourselves. No crowds, no noise, just silence and stillness. We walked slowly, quietly, just taking it in. Then something changed. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But as we walked through a shaded part of the park, we started noticing small lights around us, glowing, floating. Some were the size of pinpricks, others as large as softballs. They drifted in the air, moving gently but deliberately. The longer we lingered, the more of them there seemed to be. It felt like they were aware of us, watching, following. I looked at Ray. He saw them too. Neither of us said much, but the air between us was charged, not with fear exactly, but with one unease. Finally, we turned and walked back toward the path. The orbs didn't follow very far, they just hovered, fading back into the air as we left the area. When we got back to the inn, I told the desk clerk what we had seen. She didn't seem surprised, just gave a little nod and said softly, "It's a spiritual place." That night I checked my camera. I had taken dozens of photos on my little Sony digital. The red rocks, the stupas, the sky, but the orbs, they weren't in any of them, not one. We had seen them clearly with our own eyes, but they left no trace behind. Since then, I've heard people say that Sedona sits on powerful energy vortexes. Others think the orbs are dust or light reflections, maybe even some kind of natural electromagnetic effect. But I keep thinking about what that desk clerk said. It's a spiritual place. And maybe that's enough of an explanation. Some things aren't meant to be captured by a camera. Some things are meant to be felt for just a moment before they disappear back into the mystery of the desert. Thank you for joining me tonight on this journey through Sedona, a land where the rocks glow, the air hums, and sometimes the unseen world shows itself just long enough to remind us that there's more to this life than meets the eye. Now, you have a good night, dear, and Granny will be back next week with another story for you of the unexplained or the mysterious. Good night now.